Wind is blowing now, but in this video I'm talking about charred punk wood. Right now inside this Altoids tin can I have a variety of materials. I have oak, I have pine, and I actually have some char cloth. Char cloth being little pieces like that right there. But I'm more or less primarily concentrating in this video on the best charred punk wood. I've got an old file here that came from John, the M.I. Woodman. I've got a piece of actual flint, which you can use any kind of rock that holds a sharp edge, as long as you get a spark from it, but flint seems to hold up the best. And we got to take it and we got to knock the sparks down into this tin can, because I'm using the Kenneth Cram's technique of starting a fire. I'm going to go ahead and give this mixture here a go. Now pine, punk wood, that is charred punk wood that's made out of pine, is not a very good fire catcher, but oak is. And I didn't mention in the video that I don't like to use pine, but I've got a lot of pine in my area, but I do have actual oak in there, and I think that's what's going to actually catch. If not, it could be the actual charred cloth, which is made out of 100% cotton. So let's give this a strike test and see. And we're going to try to make a fire. Ah, there we go. We got an ember. And that appears to be on the, it appears to be maybe some char cloth. And how I do it, take pine straw, set it down in there inside the tin can and blow. And I got a lot of embers, as you can see. This technique is not the best in the world, but now I got a fire, but I want to snuff out that can. There we go. And just let that fire do its thing on top of that can. It ain't gonna hurt. It's already cooked. Damn, my camera's gonna melt. Let me get back. A little bit. Wind blowing the daggum direction of the camera. But anyway, that's one way to start a fire. Charred punk wood. And it's actually a combination. Now in the rest of the video you're going to get to see how I found punk wood, preferably oak, which in my opinion is the best to use. I'm an amateur, not a professional. I do this stuff not at home. I do it in Weebee's yard. That way if I set something on fire, at least I didn't do it at home. Maybe I need to set the stand up. Yeah. Well, howdy everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Amateur Artist Mark D. Chandler once again from Man Land. And what you're about to see now, if you happen to stay tuned this far in my introduction, I've already shot the video. And I realized that in the video I wasn't actually talking about the different varieties of oak punk wood, because I don't know. I'm an amateur. The difference between an amateur and a professional is a professional gets paid for their knowledge. I don't get paid for it. I don't even charge money for people to watch my YouTube videos. I just get out there like everyday folks and I practice just like y'all practice. And I learn as I do, learning through experience and watching YouTube videos. So I watch the professionals and the things that they try to tell me, but to my knowledge, there's never really a good video on like the best material for charred punk wood. Now what I mean by charred punk wood, the video is long enough as it is, but simple explanation is this. We got something called charred cloth. When you're using flint and steel, we're not talking about a ferro rod, we're talking about flint and steel, and you will see a ferro rod being used in my video. That's it. That is only to test it right off the bat, because I don't want to sit there and go chick, 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 chick 100 gazillion times and realize this shit ain't working. So a ferro rod, if it don't ignite with a ferro rod, it ain't gonna ignite with some flint and steel. That's all I got to say about that. And that's a manland guarantee. Now, oak. Punkwood oak is the best punk wood to use in my amateur opinion. Now, what type, what variety? Is it pin oak? Is it water oak? Is it red leaf? Is it green leaf? Is it purple leaf? I don't know. I'm not a tree expert. All I know is that oak is the best, and I know what oak is. I can look at it and see it said, that's an oak tree, but I don't know what variety it is. But it don't matter. As long as it's oak, in my opinion, if it's punky wood, it's going to work the best. Now the reason why I'm sitting there making this video, there are some people out there saying, hey, char cloth works the best, and it does. But we're talking about something you can go out into the woods, into your yard. Even if you live in a city and you got some trees up and down the road, you can find punk wood. You can. It's a wood that when you sit there and mash on it with your fingers with very little effort, it crunches down and it springs back. In other words, it's rotten wood. That's what it means, rotten wood. But not all rotten woods are created equal. As you mash them down, they may seem to compress, but you have to kind of actually practice and try it for yourself. There's no way I can really explain how compressible it is, and it springs back, and you take it in your finger, just crumple it up, and it turns into kind of like sawdust. That's what you're looking for, but it needs to be oak. Another thing, I have actually successfully made charred punk wood from pine, but it is not that dadgum reliable, because pine, all pine trees have a resin in it, and that resin is good stuff when it comes to actually burning a fire. I recommend, if you need to start a fire and you need some tinder, use yourself some pine limbs, pine straw, whatever the case may be. Pine is great for that, but it's not great for catching that little tiny, weak, little bitty, just tiny bit of a fairy-like ember from flint and steel. Now with a ferro rod, you get a lot more bang for your buck, but I like flint and steel. I like to get as primitive as I can be. I ain't no good with a bow drill. I can do it, and I definitely ain't no good with a hand drill. So I can't do, ultimately, way back in the caveman day, of actual fire making abilities. I don't got the strength to do it. Even with the fire saw, you know, bamboo, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I just ain't got the stamina. But I do like the Daniel Boone method. Before there was actual flint and steel, there was a learning curve, and now they're saying it is modern technology back then. Well, the Romans had the idea back then, called flint and steel, and I like that. I really do. I love flint and steel. Matter of fact, it was a great fella right here on YouTube. He hadn't made any videos in a long time. Stan the Man. That's right. He's the one that very first introduced me into charred punk wood instead of charred cloth. That's right. It was at the VU. I think it was the VU #2 actually. And ever since then, I have charred so many different materials, man-made and non-man-made alike. I mean, women made it. Some worked, some didn't. That's what I'm saying. Materials. You find around the yard, you think dry grasses will work, you think this, that, and the other work. You try, and try, but it comes down to this. in my humble amateur opinion, it's an oak wood. Oak is best. So if you're sticking around for the video of me trying to show you how to find this punk wood, even though you may not live in a wooded area, I'm just in the yard. I'm not in a forest, but I'm able to find it. I have an oak tree. I have a few others back there in the background too, but I didn't go back there. I just went alongside the road. Like I'm saying, you can find punk wood next to a road no matter where you're at. If you got trees next to the road, there's a very dadgum manland guarantee chance you're going to find that punk wood as a renewable source to continue your fire starting technique. And it takes some practice, but not that much. And it's a lot of fun too. You don't have to sweat to do it. That's what I like. Easy as striking a match. Well, not as easy as striking a match, because you know you got them safety matches. You can't strike them just anywhere. But I got some strike anywhere matches. You know, they're coming back out. You got to order them online, but they're there, and they're green tip too. I'm here at the end of my driveway where it connects to the road, and there's an oak tree, and it's kind of silhouetted out there. But trust me, it's an oak tree, and I find that oak is usually the best when it comes to the punk wood. And what you want to do, actually, if you're in the city and areas like that, if you walk the roadway and you may have tree lines like in a park or something, the roadside, that usually is a good indication to find punk wood, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's the best, but chances are you're going to find punk wood on the roadside. And this is kind of a good example. At the end of the yard, what it is that usually the roadways, you know, when it rains, what you're trying to do is just find weathered wood. Old weathered wood that is been sitting there and it starts to rot. The limbs have fallen, bugs eat them up, they've been rained on and weathered, and when you squeeze them, they feel kind of spongy. Now, this is not 100% just yet, but it is kind of spongy on top. So there's some good punk wood in there, but I think we can find something a little bit better. I mean, it's not worth, you know, I'm not saying it's not worth trying. And don't worry about it being wet. The moisture in there, you're not going to ever find a good, if it's good, if it's true punk wood, chances are it's probably not going to be super dry unless it's exposed to the wind and the sunlight to actually thoroughly dry it out. But that right there is fairly solid. It does break. But that right there is not quite smushy enough. We're talking about something that is totally rotten. And it's like a balsa wood. Real easy to crush in the finger. Now here's some bark. A few sticks. These are fresh sticks. I say fresh sticks. They're good tender, but that's not it. Hey, here's a white piece right here. Let's see what this right here is. Oh yeah, that's real good. See how it's just falling off my fingers there? That's actually a good piece. Now it's solid here on the bottom, but the top is real pithy and like a dry sponge. You can just break it and crack it. What about this one here? Nope, that's an actual stick. That's not a good one. See if we can find one more piece here. I want to take you through the whole process of making this stuff here. Here's a piece of limb. Alright, it's solid. This is freshly fallen. What about this piece here? Yeah, it's got some potential to it. Still got some stiffness. That's not a very good example of it, but it's getting there. So I'm gonna actually leave that out here and let it continue to rot. And let's see, roadsides. If you're on a roadside and they don't usually pick the limbs up, and you have pieces of material like that hanging on the edge of the road, now I just picked up all the limbs out here, so I know most of this stuff right here is fairly, I'm gonna say, kind of fresh, dried, fallen wood from the trees. But Let me go on up here a little bit further. Alright, at the base of a pine, and pine actually does pretty decently. It's okay. And I think this is a piece of pine. And it kind of gives you an idea of the actual stuff you're looking for. It's easy to break, but it's still not quite smashable. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like think of a piece of cork that you can actually just crush in your hand. A dried out cork that's so old it's just falling apart. Kind of like this right here. But that actually probably was a pretty decent piece. But not for my use. I want the good stuff. I want to find some type of oak. I'm going to try to stay away from pine this time anyway. So I'm gonna play around with this big chunk here and this piece here and see if I can salvage some punk wood out of that. But I see another limb right down here I'm gonna check out while I'm at it. And hey, this may be a good spot here. This may be some good stuff. Let's see. Nope, pretty solid. Nope, still solid. This piece here is still solid. Like the limb just kind of exploded. It hasn't actually had time to rot yet. That's a piece of pine. And check this piece right here out. Oh. It's pithy inside of it. But still solid around. Then again, it's still pine. So that's not what I'm looking for. But here, like I say, on the roadside, a lot of times this stuff has had a good possibility of being eat up with bugs, moisture. The weather is the best provider of punk wood. And I found an awful lot of this stuff out here just on the side of the road. And sometimes you'll think it's not, and you step on it and it just gives away easily under your feet. Let's see about this piece. Nope, still pretty solid. Just a few feet over, I found a nice little piece of oak limb that I think is perfect. The bark is so soft I'm able to crush through it just about. It's not perfect, but oak works better than pine. So I'm going to take these pieces right here, take them back to camp, along with this here piece of pine. Where'd I put it at? Oh, I must have set it down. Hey, this is right here. That's another solid stick. That's too solid. This right here looks kind of pithy. It has a feather. Interesting. Yeah, I'm going to take this back. Give this right here a go. And I'm going to grab some of this here. It's actually the pine heart. Right in here. Grab some of that. Along with this, give it a try. I always like experimenting with different materials. Pine, I've not had a whole lot of success with pine. I've had some success, but the oak, basically any type of oak would work great. But I check out pieces of wood on the side of the road. If it's totally rotten, it just breaks easily under the foot, that's one I usually pick up. But these pieces here, they're pretty solid. I didn't have to do a whole lot of work. Didn't have to go very far. Just walking back toward the fire pit now. I got my secondary can. There's the can. Well, this actually had char cloth in it. I transferred it over there into the charred punk wood container just so I can use this one for this here. And I want to squeeze it. This piece here is still stiff, but around it's got good, I'm off. I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. It's got good, real pithy pithy, easy to break, snap. I mean, that type of thing. And of course, when you char this stuff, it shrinks up. It's not as large. But while I'm at it, I got a piece of this here. I think this is pine. See how easy that breaks with moisture. I want to put some of that in there along with it. It's kind of dirty. You don't really want a dirty wood because that dirt's an insulator. But I have been playing around with all different kinds of material. I'm talking about like from pine to leaves and limbs, and that piece right there, that's a piece of oak. I mean, that right there just crumbled up. So I'm going to char all this right here. This is not the super perfect stuff I like, but I'm going to give this right here a go and see how it works. And yeah, let me get it here on the fire pit. Once my fire get my fire stoked back going here, I'm gonna add it to it. I tell you, pine straw is a very, very good, useful tool. It's like natural gasoline. I want to cover this up with some more sticks. Help fire all the way around it, but I'm not putting it in a huge fire. I'm not like a huge roaring fire. I'm not doing that. It doesn't take that. It just takes a small controlled fire. That's all it takes. And we'll keep adding until I get what I think is the proper amount. We'll let it burn down, and then we'll check it. Burnt down enough, I think. I got my dad's multi-tool. I carry that multi-tool in my fire kit. Not this contraption you seeing me grab now. Hold on, let me get a hold of it here. That's mighty hot. And already popped the top. Took a look at it. Looks like it's good stuff. I need to kind of get this in the shadow of this here post just a bit. There we go. And again, I'm using the ferro rod. Now you're asking, well, this is supposed to be for flint and steel. Why are you using the ferro rod? Well, I'm telling you right now, if it don't light with a ferro rod, it ain't gonna light with flint and steel. So here I'm gonna give this a go. And right there I can see already. Just on that, I got some good embers that caught up. Zoom back out. In my wheelbarrow. Here I am. Hi, y'all. Yeah, in my wheelbarrow, I found some dadgum good. As perfect as I'm going to get on this particular shooting of this video for right now. Punkwood. Oak. That's a piece of oak. That's a piece of oak. Let's zoom back. I can't see it. The glare is in my lens, y'all can't see. That's a good thick piece of punkwood. Let me show you. See if I can get this on camera. See how that's just rotten wood. I'm going to set that to the side. This little piece right here, I'm going to squeeze the end of it. Not the best, but it's got potential. And this piece here, it's got some in it, but still kind of stiff. Setting it up here. Put that piece right there. The big piece. That's what you're looking for. Good solid piece. It just happened to be just about the right size of that Altoids tin can or the mince can. And what you're looking for is the squeezability of it. Still got the bark on. That's a plus. Kept it from being dirty. So that means there's really no mud inside. But you see that piece of wood, how it just gives the slightest touch? That's what you're looking for. We're going to open it up. Oh yeah. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. That is punkwood. That is the most best, perfect example I can give out here in Manland right now. And oh, it's even got ants in it. Ants appear to be the best contributor. Carpenter ants, or those are fire ants. Could be little. I don't know what kind of ants they are, but that ants inside that right there. So anyway, they better run while they can. Because we're going to turn this into the perfect batch. of charred punk wood to help you. But look, here's that punk wood. Try to get the insides. Try to stay away from the bark if you can. But look at the insides. This stuff is so brittle. It's not quite the correct size, but hey, we're going to take. And my hands are sweaty. But that is a nice, huge piece. You know what? There's a solid piece right here. Hold on. I gotta get this out. This is going to be kind of like totally useless. This is like the limb end. If I can do this, like, gotta break that hard stuff out of there and get that real delicate, punky stuff in there. This is exceptional. I don't know if it's showing it on camera there. We got a lot of ants still crawling around, so there may be a few ants in there. But anyway, they're going to be part of the char. Hey, we're going to get this thing right here back on the fire. Left the bark exposed. There's still some good pieces right here. I could have crammed it full, but I'm gonna leave a little room, because you can find good punk wood anywhere you go. And you can see right now, I'm just in a yard. I am not in a national forest. I'm not on a, any heavily wooded area. I mean, I was out there, heck, a tree next to my road. That was it. You can find these things at your public parks, on the roadsides, anywhere there's trees growing. This is what I'm saying. Punk wood exists. You just got to know what you're looking for and how to find it. Just take your time. And it's real simple. Real simple. Man, I wouldn't steer you wrong. Let me get this thing here charred up. Let's test it out. Here we go. In the shade. Just pop the top, and I want to show you how that big chunk just shriveled up to almost nothing. It is really reduced in size. And on this one here, I'm going to try to actually hit it with actual flint and steel. Now the problem is, I've got to strike, make the sparks go down without hitting this tin can and knocking it everywhere. So this is where the real talent comes in. Make sure I got the right angle. Yeah, it's going up. I think I'm going to strike down on a rock. Yeah. Oh, got it. Where's the zoom in? I can't see the screen here. Can't see what y'all are seeing here. Let me zoom in. Move the camera stand a little bit. Zoom in some more. Back it up a bit. Blowing on it. There it is. I don't want to waste it. I'm going to snuff it back out. That is actual, true living, perfect charred punk wood. That's what you want if you're using an Altoids tin can. Well, there you have it, folks. For flint and steel, there's no better fire or spark catcher in the world besides char cloth, and that would be charred punk wood, because that's something you can find readily everywhere you go, except maybe the desert and in the ocean. As long as you got trees around, you've got the ability to replenish your stock. But now for long-term storage, that's the problem. Because here in the state of Mississippi, just made this fresh batch. Don't know how long it's going to stay moisture proof. So I recommend the smallest Ziploc bag you can find, putting the stuff in there, or putting the Altoids tin can itself. But I recommend actually putting your charred material inside that actual Ziploc bag, placing it back inside the can, and then sealing this up with a Ranger band, rubber band, whatever the case may be. Or you can go with a more modern supplement, because I don't know what Daniel Boone and them did back in the day. I mean, they didn't even have an Altoids tin can. They didn't. They didn't have any way to waterproof their gear, except maybe some leather, and it was oil skinned to help. And maybe they had their fire starting materials wrapped up in several layers of clothing, or whatever the case may be. And they may have actually taken dry grass, put in there with it to help absorb the moisture that may actually come in contact with a charred material. Because back then, you know, they didn't actually tear their clothes up if they were 100% cotton just to make char cloth. They didn't do that. But they had some way to protect their fire starting ability to keep the moisture out of the product, because it was a life and death situation with them all the time. We just enjoy the fun of it, the practice of it, and hopefully it'll work when we actually really do have to survive with it. But we have something called plastic bags, Ziploc bags. There's some of the charred material that I made previously. I put it in this bag right here, but it's easy to crush. This bag here is actually too large for an Altoids tin can. But if you put your material inside the Altoids tin can and then place it inside the Ziploc bag, fold it over to help protect it against moisture. But there's another thing I want to suggest. These silica packs that you see, not the oxygen absorbers, not in food products. We're talking about actual silica beads. They absorb moisture, and where I work, the furniture company, I come across them things, I mean big bags all the time. Maybe I could take a few of those and sprinkle inside the Altoids tin can and wrap it, just to help keep that moisture from building up or attacking the stuff that you worked hard to make. I didn't work that hard. I'm out here making a fire anyway, so I'm just enjoying myself. And now I got the burps because this sun's beaming down on me. It's time for another drink, but not just yet. Just wanted to sit there and share some type of knowledge from an amateur's point of view. Char punkwood. Charred punkwood. Remember that. Charred punkwood. Another good thing is cotton, actual natural cotton. But unless you are camping or happen to be in a situation where you're next to a cotton field and it has to be that right time of year that cotton actually opens up, cotton's not exactly easy to come by, but charred punkwood is very easy. So you need to learn this technique, put it to use, keep it in practice. But now the long-term storage of this, since I made this little bit right here, actually I got plenty of backup to go inside this can. I'm going to sit there and pack it up and see how long it stays inside my fire kit, which is not inside the house. It's actually stored inside my pickup truck. Because that's my everyday backpack right there. So if I'm at work, no matter where I go, I'm probably going to have that truck next to me. Probably. And I want to make sure this stuff here stays protected inside my fire kit. I don't want any moisture whatsoever to get into it. So I'm going to try it. I may actually add some silica beads to it that I have there at the store that are free, as well as a Ziploc bag, and see how this holds up several months from now, possibly even the winter. I will make another video to see if it actually works, because there's some people out there having a problem with their charred cloth, their charred punkwood. Doesn't seem to work. Worked fine when they first made it, but not after long-term storage. So there you go. Until next time, this is Amateur Artist Mark D. channel once again from Mainland. I apologize for the length of the video, but hey, I don't post that many videos now, every so often. So I do what I can. I do it just for YouTube because it's fun. Don't monetize my channel right now. I'm not saying I never will, but right now I don't. Until next time, y'all take them easy and take them care. Be kind, and always remember, sometimes survival, when it comes time to survive, may not be fun, but practicing it is a lot of fun.